Nehemiah chapter 7. Now when the wall had been built, and I had set up the doors, and the gatekeepers, the singers, and the Levites had been appointed, I gave my brother Hanani charge over Jerusalem, along with Hananiah, the commander of the citadel. For he was a faithful man, and feared God more than many. And I said to them, the gates of Jerusalem are not to be opened while the sun is hot, while the gatekeepers are still standing guard. Let them shut and bar the doors. Appoint guards from among the inhabitants of Jerusalem, some at their watchposts and others before their own houses. The city was wide and large, but the people within it were few, and no houses had been built. Then my God put it into my mind to assemble the nobles and the officials and the people to be enrolled by genealogy. And I found the book of the genealogy of those who were the first to come back, and I found the following written in it. These are the people of the province who came up out of the captivity of those exiles whom King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon had carried into exile. They returned to Jerusalem and Judah, each to his own town. They came with Zerubbabel, Jeshua, Nehemiah, Azariah, Raamiah, Nahamani, Mordecai, Bilshan, Mispereth, Bigvai, Nahum, Bana. The number of the Israelite people, the descendants of Parash, 2,172. Of Shephatiah, 372. Of Ara, 652. Of Pahath Moab, namely the descendants of Jeshua and Joab, 2,818. Of Elam, 1,254. Of Zatu, 845. Of Zakai, 760. Of Binui, 648. Of Bebai, 628. Of Azgad, 2,372. Of Adonikam, 667. Of Bigvai, 2,067. Of Adin, 655. Of Ater, namely of Hezekiah, 98. Of Hashum, 328. Of Bezai, 324. Of Harip, 112. Of Gibeon, 95. The people of Bethlehem and Netophah, 188. Of Anathoth, 128. Of Beth Asmaveth, 42. Of Kiriath Jearim, Kepira, and Beeroth, 743. Of Ramah and Geba, 621. Of Mikmas, 122. Of Bethel and Ai, 123. Of the other, Nebo, 52. The descendants of the other Elam, 1,254. Of Harim, 320. Of Jericho, 345. Of Lod, Hadid, and Ono, 721. Of Sanaa, 3,930. The priests. The descendants of Jedaiah, namely the house of Jeshua, 973. Of Immer, 1,052. Of Pashur, 1,247. Of Harim, 1,017. The Levites. The descendants of Jeshua, namely of Kadmiel, of the descendants of Hodeva, 74. The singers. The descendants of Asaph, 148. The gatekeepers, the descendants of Shallum, of Ater, of Talmon, of Akub, of Hatita, of Shobai, 138. The temple servants. The descendants of Ziha, of Hasupa, of Tabaot, of Keros, of Sia, of Padon, of Lebana, of Hagabah, of Shalmai, of Hanan, of Gedel, of Gahar, of Reaiah, of Rezin, of Nekoda, of Gazam, of Uzzah, of Paseah, of Besai, of Meunim, of Nepushessim, of Bakbuk, of Hakupah, of Harhur, of Baslith, of Mehida, of Harsha, of Barkos, of Sisera, of Tema, of Neziah, of Hatipah. The descendants of Solomon's servants, of Sotai, of Soperet, of Perida, of Jala, of Darkon, of Gedel, of Shephatiah, of Hatil, of Pokereth Hazebaim, of Ammon. All the temple servants and the descendants of Solomon's servants were 392. The following were those who came up from Tel Melah, Tel Harsha, Kerub, Adon, and Emer. But they could not prove their ancestral houses or their descent, whether they belonged to Israel. The descendants of Deliah, of Tobiah, of Nekoda, 642. Also of the priests, the descendants of Hobiah, of Hakoz, of Barzillai, who had married one of the daughters of Barzillai the Gileadite, and was called by their name. These sought their registration among those enrolled in the genealogies, but it was not found there, so they were excluded from the priesthood as unclean. The governor told them that they were not to partake of the most holy food until a priest with Urim and Thummim should come. The whole assembly together was 42,360. Besides their male and female slaves, of whom there were 7,337, and they had 245 singers, male and female. They had 736 horses, 245 mules, 435 camels, and 6,720 donkeys. Now some of the heads of ancestral houses contributed to the work. The governor gave to the treasury 1,000 derricks of gold, 50 basins, and 530 priestly robes. And some of the heads of ancestral houses gave into the building fund 20,000 derricks of gold and 2,200 minas of silver. And what the rest of the people gave was 20,000 derricks of gold, 2,000 minas of silver, and 67 priestly robes. So the priests, the Levites, the gatekeepers, the singers, some of the people, the temple servants, and all Israel settled in their towns. When the 7th month came, the Israelites, being settled in their towns,